Hello friends and students, viewers and subscribers. This is a response video to a frequently asked question in the comment section of this channel, which is, what apps do I use to make my transcriptions or the sheet music? Okay, that's easy to answer. We'll discuss that, and we'll discuss what apps I don't use in a little bit more. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, try to have a good source to start with. By that I mean the quality of the recording you're listening to. Sometimes YouTube uploads aren't that good quality, or if you have like for example, some old Bollywood song that's been uploaded off a VHS tape that's been played 1,000 times and it wobbles the sound, it's a lot harder. Okay, so have a good quality recording to begin with. Okay, number two, some decent speakers or what they call monitors are helpful too. You have good quality speakers make a big difference. Sometimes I am at my student's house and they want me to learn some song on their cell phone. Even if it is easy, it's really hard for me to tell what the details of some music coming from a cell phone, So good quality monitors help. I don't have great ones, I just have a decent pair of speakers. I don't have any of that fancy studio stuff. Okay, so then let's move on. I need an instrument to do this. I assume most professional transcribers who are doing a lot of publishing are using their piano as the principal instrument to do the transcribing. I prefer guitar. I'm a guitarist mostly, and so I use that thing. Some people who are great at it, I suppose, might even be able to just imagine it in their head. I don't know. That's not me. Okay, so from there, now we'll get into some of the apps I use, and I should say I don't really necessarily endorse these companies or anything. They're not bad. I'm happy to have them. It's just what I use because it was available to me or somebody gave me it or recommended it, and I really don't have much to compare it to, but it works. So I use some free app or program called Audacity. I downloaded this thing and it has a lot of functions and things that it can do that I don't even know how to operate. But what I do know is you can put your music in there and slow it down without changing the pitch and make small loops that play a little section of 4 or 5 notes or 2 or 3 seconds, whatever you want, over and over again for you. So that's an important part of it, having that tool that slows the music down and creates a loop. Okay, after that, let's say you've got it slowed down, you made your loop, you figured it out, you wrote it down or whatever, you have to now put it into some notation software, and I use MuseScore. Again, it's just some free source software or app you can download, and you enter the notation in there. Now, I just started using that program 5 or 6 years ago, and I avoided learning how to notate on the computer simply because there's a big learning curve. It takes you a long time just to learn how to use the software, and I figured I could just skip that and write it out, and I would get more done. But eventually I had to do it more or less, so I use that product, MuseScore. Now, from there, I have it all set up in MuseScore. I've got it transcribed. Then I use another free program called Ice Cream Screen Recorder, and I guess that's just like it says, a screen recorder or a screen capture. So I put it in the MuseScore, get it all queued up, and tweak the reverb or whatever, and then play it and record it with the Ice Cream Screen Recorder. From there, I'll take it into my Windows Movie Maker, which came on my computer. I don't know, I assume it comes in the package of software or something, or You can download the codecs. I don't know all that stuff. I'm telling you, I use Windows Movie Maker. Okay, in that one I would like to have some do some other stuff besides Windows Movie Maker. Mostly it would be cool to have that like a split screen option, or to mix the audio of one guitar and then put the lead guitar on top with a split screen. That would be really cool. I can't do that. Okay, so there you have it. That's how I put my stuff together, and I hope you notice that I use a lot of free, readily available, simple tools. Okay, now of course those are all external things. The most important things are the internal things that you build and develop: your learning, your skill, your discipline, your experience, your training. That makes a difference. Now, what do I not use? And I can tell that a lot of people, particularly other related channels, are using these tools that I do not use. So I don't use any pitch recognition or meter recognition software. I don't want to use that stuff. The whole point is for me to figure it out, to improve my ability to hear, to improve my ability to write, and then to improve my ability to read music. So I don't want to use those tools. That is just cheating as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, you understand. Okay, so I don't use that. I don't use this MIDI conversion stuff that other people are using, which is you upload the song into your computer and then the computer converts it to MIDI and plays it back for you. Or some version of it plays back for you. Now, after that, many people will use convert the MIDI to notation. Software that automatically converts the MIDI files to standard music notation. And so that's how a lot of what you're seeing on YouTube is being generated. And I can tell. And most people who really read music and are familiar with music can tell. That software is really impressive now. It's come a long way. But basically it needs an editorial process after it has finished its work by a real person who reads music and understands the ins and outs beyond the parameters of the program to make it more appropriate for distribution. It needs to be reviewed by someone who knows what they're doing and correct the little errors that the computer unknowingly makes, because it is a computer. All right, so I don't use that stuff, and you can always tell when people are using it. I don't want to get into how it has to do with the MIDI matrix and the notation of the division of the measure that a MIDI program will often put it in, the parameters that you set. Okay, so that's another thing that some people do that I don't use, is they just set up some field on a screen and they drag the note back and forth while listening to the recording, and they just try to get it right. And they can also drag the note up and down until it gets to the right pitch. I do that more or less with my instrument, but the difference is when you do it without a knowledge of notation or your instrument, the computer is going to put it on a field of subdivision that doesn't always make sense. It might sound cool, but it's off by a 30-second note or something, and then everything looks whack after that. Okay, and one other thing I don't use, which you will find a lot of, is people are using what I would call band in the box. I don't know if you are familiar with this thing, or some version of it. It's like an auto accompaniment feature. So they figure out maybe the melody and some version of the chords, and then they put it in band in the box, and the band in the box will auto-generate some bass line and some drum pattern and some background music related to the melody and chords you put in based on a computer patch. You know. Well, again, I just think that's kind of corny and cheating. It sounds good in some cases, and you know, it has its place, but it's not what I'm trying to do. So that was a longer video than what I wanted to make, but I hope I got to you clearly the idea of what I use, what I don't use, and also that important thing that all those things are just tools, and they're external, and you must use them as tools. Don't use them as a crutch, and develop your internal skills, because that will determine the results that you get with those tools. Okay, so I hope you guys will have fun and study well.